Hey, what?
Can you read? I need to Gmail list for the lunch.
For Blythe?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Because I didn't get the last one.
Oh.
I can say.
So he said, but it's still look like I'd have to be on golf as well, so.
Wait, everyone is getting get a minute. That's good. Absolutely. Here you go. I'm in the all day. You missed. I don't know if I heard.
You should get people. Where these.
The
That's where we need to start. That's the inner why. And attitudes at your organization. So if you're talking to your leadership about documentation, their attitude, whatever, we had a text, we had a client who brought us out to look into an issue they were having with patient signatures. We were doing interviews with crew members, and we couldn't really piece things together. And then we talked to one of their battalion chiefs.
Scott's iPad, you're not muted.
I swear to you, stop right there. My medics' jobs are not to get patient signatures, it's to save.
That question, I mean. I'll let you know if I need you.
That's not good. Nothing new from yesterday. Definitely new advisory board stuff with. EMS and standbys for the fire detectors. Gonna bring back the work, they've just increased the requirements, stages for police requirements of.
We did take out.
EMS needs something more.
But this.
They basically. Different. So like, don't talk the truck out the operations. Now, it's at least one class that will be. Not a. They floating away. It's gonna be counted. It's so wonderful.
Would someone let me know if you can hear us?
Loud and clear.
Thanks, John.
All right, I guess we're ready to get going for the 2 o'clock. So, welcome everybody to the advisory committee meeting. Can we have approval of, people? Anybody?
I can make that motion.
I can second. Okay. So John, second by Sean. And all in favor? Anybody against? Okay, so it passes. All right, moving on. So basically, well, actually, it's more old business than new business. iGel is now no longer a pilot program and is also available for pediatrics, which approved at the last CMAC. So,
Has the commissioner signed?
I don't know if the commissioner's actually signed it yet, so I guess we can technically have to wait for that to happen. Basically, I doubt that he's not gonna sign off. Moving on, has been suggested. Like, remember where that actually went, it's sort of discussed and didn't quite gain any momentum.
It was a little bit of a discussion, never really gained any momentum and seemed to sort of die on the vine.
So that was the thought of giving BLS folks glucagon, since it's the same procedure was giving an epi, but the cost is pretty high. Like around $300 per administration, and then you need at least 2 per rig, so by the time it gets done, that's a lot of money. And whether it actually will be useful, how many folks are actually showing up, BLS, hypoglycemic, that data doesn't seem to actually. New protocols, Mike, you want to talk about that? It's July 1st, they go in effect.
Yeah, so new protocols coming into effect on July 1st, relatively minimal series of changes. They're highlighted in a video that should be up on the regional website. And that's that.
Okay.
Yeah.
This meeting's gonna take about 5 minutes. You guys are missing out on the cookies. Mike baked cookies last night. I brought cookies baked by Price Chopper this morning. And you guys are missing out. So next time, come visit us. Blood update, still in progress. We had a meeting yesterday. Cost for a unit is about $1,000 unless you're buying it in bulk. The main issue that we can address is the American Red Cross will not take the units back. And we don't want to waste them. That's where the problem is. So Mike is working with the med to see if they will take it, separate it into products. I put a feeler out to St. Peter's to see if that would be the case as well. And I know Benko is going to talk to Bassett, see if they'd be interested. Taking the one back, because it doesn't have all the waste. Anybody have anything else they want to mention on blood update? Okay.
Now, I think it's just gonna be a question of waiting to see what happens with time, how we put all these pieces together.
And there are some grants out there that hopefully some of the costs will be absorbed by the grants.
Yeah.
For the equipment business. All right, anybody else have any new business before we move on?
Now, I think the only other thing I'll throw in under old business is buprenorphine, which does not look like EMS buprenorphine is going to make it to the makes through the legislative process. John McDonald continues to strive to make this work, as does Michelle Hinchy. Hopefully it moves next year as we just wait till the legislature allows us to do what we have seen demonstrated so effectively in other states.
But. All right, a regional training courses, nothing is primo, I understand, right, Pat?
There are 2 classes currently running, but nothing open for, enrollment. There's a basic and a CFR. Just concluded an AEMT.
Bob Phillips, I was on there, do we have anything at Hudson Valley?
Summer EMT course, starting on 6:30, and then we'll have a day and an evening EMT course starting on 9/2, along with our day and evening paramedic courses starting on 9/2.
Thanks, Bob. And John, anything? Cobblesco?
I got the paramedic course that's starting at the end of August for the year, and then we have an EMT evening class that starts at the same time, beginning of the semester.
Anybody have any questions on those?
I
Any other?
have a training question, but it's not related to the courses.
Okay, go ahead, Dave.
I have a provider who elected to take the National Registry exam to recertify instead of doing CME recertification. Whether he should have or should not have is not the conversation. The conversation is he was summarily rejected because he was not enrolled in a course.
Rejected by the registry?
Rejected by the state. The registry was, he was good.
It's never been an option to do National Registry for state recertification.
It is, he has language in a document that says it was.
Was.
Well,
Or
it
is.
it currently is, yeah.
So what
never-
document are you referring to?
He's got the documents, I don't have, I'm just hoping maybe somebody else has.
Honestly, Dean, it doesn't matter what the states publish in terms of EMS education. It's gonna depend on what they tell somebody. Why do I say it doesn't matter? Because they had policies in the past that they never updated, that were not allowed to go through, that they did not adhere to. So, realistically, they're gonna still kind of make their decisions based on whatever their prevailing protocols are.
Yeah, and I don't think it's ever been allowed to use the registry to refresh your New York State paramedic certificate.
And I believe that we discussed this when we were reworking the education regulations to make it so that you could not kind of continuously use one or the other to get the other. That you couldn't use the registry to get your state and then your state to get the registry through like a reciprocity process and not go through the state process.
So it's a reciprocity, really, it's a truly a reciprocity issue, not a,
Potentially, yes. I mean, he's asking for issuance of a state card based on National Registry reciprocity. I'm pretty sure we expressly said no to that when we reworked the regulation, the education
we
regulation.
came up with a policy that says you can take the national registry exam in lieu of the state exam,
Mhm.
right? Yeah.
You're
So that-
confusing multiple different things, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, right, John, right? You're confusing multiple different things. It depends on the time frame when the original course was taken, was there a lapse in certification as it pertains to this individual provider versus original education and original certification? Two different things, right? Like, yes, you can do, there is a route for quote unquote direct reciprocity or a route for someone to take a national registry exam and use that as state certification after their original certification is completed. And that is a relatively new thing. I think that started, John, correct me if I'm wrong, July 1 of 2025. So there's different procedures. It depends. There's a lot of variables.
So I think it started a few months ago, but during the pandemic, they allowed students who took a state course to go take the national registry because they were having issues with getting enough sites opened for New York State students to take it. So there was that executive order that allowed them to do that. That stopped about, I want to say about 2 years ago or so.
About that.
And in the last update in regulations, yes, they brought that back, and it's only recently started, or maybe it's July that it's starting, but it's somewhere in recent history that it's up and running again.
Yeah,
But you need,
That was for original certifications.
yeah,
correct.
for original certification.
But not for recertification.
No.
No, there's no such thing for recertification to using a registry to keep your New York State certification.
Got it.
There is a loophole that allows people to test, but the state is very aware of the loophole, right? They shouldn't even really be allowed to take the registry exam. But there is a loophole that exists that allows people to take that exam, but the state's well aware of it and won't provide a New York State certification based on just that registry exam alone.
So what, in addition to the national registry exam, would they have to do?
Well, I mean, like, again, like there's like, were they they expired?
No, they're still certified. They still have 6 months to go. So, I mean, there's a fail safe. You could take the CME and just do it by the CME process.
Yeah,
But
or a
doing-
refresher, which doesn't exist.
Right. But he thought he was doing what he was allowed to do by taking the test. And so I'm trying to figure out what the missing piece is.
So I took a 48-hour instructor-led in-person National Registry eligible refresher, and then was eligible to sit.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
But take something in person.
At that time, for National Registry, I did have to take, and in fact, I trucked myself from Oneonta up to HVCC 5 days a week for however many weeks I had to do it for a instructor-led recertification renewal to be able to sit for the exam.
Just curious.
Correct, but no one's offering those research anymore.
So,
And I did it
At least
because
we're not.
I became a National Registry
Correct.
PSC examiner at that point.
But you didn't actually get any knowledge.
So,
You didn't have any actual.
Remember, we've got a lot of people online, so let's not have any side conversations, please.
So with the registry, you can use the rapid research, which is you get your medical director and your agency to sign off you're in good standing. You take the practical skills exam, and then you take the New York State exam. The registry actually allows that course to be used as an in-person course to allow you to get your registry if you choose to go that route. Because that's what I did a couple of years ago, 4 years ago.
You were doing it for the same reason I was, to get our PSE examination.
Right, but I was,
Just-
right, but I didn't have to sit for a full course. I was allowed to use the rapid research as eligible without sitting for any class time.
The only, yeah, the only thing that's important for everyone to know is that with the changes to the national registry PSE, to recert, you still need to have a PSE. We no longer do PSEs. I know John will confirm that Coboskill no longer does PSEs, and therefore we no longer do refreshers, because that would be cost prohibitive, because we would have to do a PSE for refresher students. We don't do refreshers anymore. And that is one of the challenges that exists for people who generally choose to recertify through a refresher. However, you know, generally speaking, we would do one refresher a year, maybe get 3 to 4 students for a paramedic refresher. So it's cost prohibitive for us to do it. And again, more so that we aren't already having a PSE. So they're very difficult to find, which means I think the agency should be paying very close attention to what their providers need and ensuring that they're getting the CMEs that they need.
Yeah, so Coboskill does still run a paramedic PSC for the rapid research only. But honestly, we usually get no more than 2 or 3 people sign up for that. We do it usually 2 times a year, June and January.
Yeah,
So
so
yeah.
we're not doing it at all.
Any other comments from anyone? Anybody you stayed on, it's tough to see who's actually on it.
Dean, if you want to give me a call later and go through the process and I can advise you a little bit, but I think that person's going to have to go through the whole CMEs to keep their certification if they're expiring in the next 6 months.
Well, yeah, the part B of the question is, should I, as an agency leader, make do I have the authority to do this, or who has the authority to do this? That all of our providers are going to recertify through the CME process. I mean, at the leadership of the agency leadership has an obligation to lead their people the right way and give them good information. And so, and this guy is he's a researcher. He's like, I got these documents. Everything says I should be able to do this. I'm going to try it.
Well, he tried it.
And it failed. So to that point, should I and maybe others be leading their people saying, listen, it is not an option. You have to research in the CME recertification program.
What I do.
But do I have the authority to do that? I don't think I do.
Yeah, the authority to do whatever the hell you want to in this case, where you're saying, listen, so you have the authority to tell him he can't? No, but you absolutely have the authority and the responsibility, right, to assist him with remaining a member of your agency and to say, we know this works. Do this.
And you could find a refresher course if you could find one.
If you could find one, exactly.
Suggest.
So, I mean, we're gonna probably going in that direction, but
I mean, you have the authority to tell him in 6 months if he doesn't actually do the things that he's going to do.
well, this
he's gonna
guy,
find a new job.
it's the test thing. We're testing the process out. Now we know this is not working, so I'm going to have to do something to protect the rest of the organization. Right? It's protecting them against the state, if you will, but.
Well, you're protecting him against process. What you're doing is you're supplying him with an opportunity on how he can continue to maintain his certification.
Right.
Right?
I mean, this is an adult, right?
Of course.
Okay. My job, if I want to continue to be a paramedic, is to get myself in front of the classes and courses to maintain my own paramedic. So, I mean, I have to find these things. So it's not anybody else's job but mine to keep myself certified with all the appropriate certifications.
I absolutely wholeheartedly agree with you, and I am on that soapbox all the time. However, the state has made it as clear as mud on how the process really works on many different avenues. And so as an agency leader, I'm really obligated to give them good, clear direction, which I do not have because the document says one thing and they're actually doing another thing. But so that's why I asked the question, is because I do want to make sure that my providers have the right information to make good decisions on what they should do. So, thank you. Did everybody get this?
Dean, do you offer in-house training?
We do.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Beth, right? They're adults and they need to know that their card expires now every 4 years. And we provide those courses, whether it's, through online means and or through alphabet courses or whatever else as an agency. But these people have to understand when they're going to expire and know that they have to have that paperwork in 45 days in advance if they want to remain employed. So.
Yeah, and so this guy is completely there. He took the test without studying, got a 90 on the exam, laughed at the exam, and expecting a letter that says he's recertified. Right? The guy's sharp. There's no question about, needing remediation or anything like that. And he's like, I don't need to sit through all those hours of CME. I can teach the CME. And so to the point, he tried to take the test, clearly demonstrated his knowledge on the test, but yeah, still can't do it. Right,
So,
that's what
Dean-
this is all about, making sure we're retaining competency, or retaining the knowledge of the core content. And he demonstrated that by passing the exam, but yet there is still not a process to make that happen. I don't want to belabor the problem, I just was hoping maybe somebody else had an idea on, oh, you gotta connect these two dots to make this whole thing work.
I mean, the only other suggestion is you can contact Drew, I guess, at the department. Yeah, so. But I don't think you're gonna get the answer you want.
Yeah, I think you're right.
So, anybody else have any other comments on that or anything else? Any items from the floor?
I just have one, on June 29th, Sunday at 12:30, the National Rolling EMS Memorial will be at Copake to honor Stephen Walsh, and I believe that Copake would like as many representatives there as possible to honor Stephen and see the memorial. If
Thank you,
you
Beth.
need any information, please reach out to me. I believe it was sent out to all agencies through Tim.
All right. Unless anybody has anything else, we will close the advisory committee meeting.
Let's see, we got a couple chats.
What chats do we have? I
Um,
certainly cannot read those.
Peter Doty did put up his email and telephone number if you have any questions about the memorial.
Okay.
So I have two things from the LifeNet perspective and one good thing.
No, next.
Next one.
Next meeting, sorry.
Meetings are not my thing.
That's okay, we'll keep you straight.
All right. All right, so our next meeting won't be until September. Everybody have a good summer. See, everybody looking at me like, what? Yes, remember we take summer off. So we'll see you guys. We'll see you guys in September. If I recall, there was a song like that back in the.
Back in the day.
Yes. All right. See everybody at the next meeting. Which I guess is gonna start now. This looks like pretty much everybody on here for the next meeting.
For me, if you haven't already and you are online, please put your name and affiliation in the chat so I can take attendance after the fact. I've tried to keep up with it, but everyone knows that a Zoom meeting board changes anytime someone logs on or off, and I'm not sure who I have. I appreciate that. Oh, look at it go.
Yes, we're gonna end the meeting now at
Don,
4:22.
Did you have something else, Dr. Bosco?
just quick clarification, our next meeting on my calendar looks like September 3rd. I just wanted to verify that date.
Should be the first Wednesday of the month. I don't know what that is. I got to look.
Hold on, looking right now.
Yeah, it looks like September 3rd.
That would be correct.
September 3rd.
Yep, that would be correct. All right, with motion to end. Sean, anybody want a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you. Anybody against? It's easier.
Always gotta ask.
All right. We'll see you guys in September. All right, Beth, you're gonna start the next one?
It rolls right through.
Same link.
Same
Oh,
link.
Same
Same link.
All right.
We have entered into early flavor.
I believe it's all yours.
Dr. Cordy?
Yes, ma'am. Just waiting for everyone's last minute comments as I watch an overview of everyone there. Sorry, I can't be there and enjoy none of the cookies that I don't see before you.
Oh, they're there.
There.
Ah. So welcome to the Remac of June 4th. I'd like a motion to approve the minutes from our previous meeting on April 2nd, please.
I'll make the motion.
Appreciate that. Anybody second? I don't have comments up, Beth.
I don't have anybody making a second by comment.
My guy, somebody was there.
My turn, sorry.
It's your turn to second motion.
Oh, second.
Okay, there you go.
Yay! And now for the brief correspondence and DOH disciplinary actions letter from Delmar Bethlehem advising of a new kid on the block as Associate Medical Director, Dr. Michael Doyle, who I'm sure his Remo number will change in a few weeks when he's an official attending / EMS fellow at Albany Medical Center. Yay! Timothy McCabe from Attica had his cert revoked for multiple violations of Part 800. Daniel Howard of Patterson, New Jersey, had his certification suspended for 3 years, effective 4/21, which his suspension was stayed, and he was assessed a civil penalty of $2,000 for violations of Part 800, Part .16A1. And Nathan Berg of Brooklyn had his certification revoked effective 5/13 and was assessed a civil penalty of $2,000 for violations also of Part 800-3AP1 and 800.3AP2. Jasmine Garth of Newburgh surrendered certification effective 5/14 for violations of Part 803. Seems to be a popular portion anyway, and 800.15A. So, Dr. Doy, now back to you, sir, for your wonderful meeting that you led in under 20 minutes.
So, I'm not sure we need to go through all this over again, since all you folks are the same people, but basically, the advisory committee meeting, and I think we can move on unless somebody has an objection.
Okie dokie.
Nothing hurt, so I think we can move on.
Okay, and since Dr. McHugh can't be here, our next meeting for REMSCO will be held on June 23rd. And back to you, Don, for CMAC and SEMSCO meetings respectively.
So, things we talked about, and advisory, the iGel, was approved by CMAC, SEMSCO, for adults and for kids. Beth brought up, we don't necessarily have the signature of the health commission. I don't believe that's a problem. So some of our final program, people are interested. Glucagon was discussed and withered out, didn't go anyplace.
Actually, now let's just stay on that iGel project just for a quick second.
Sure.
Right, so we also expanded it to include pediatrics. However, pediatric addition to the BLS iGel project or program was not mandatory.
Right, that's
So
what,
people can choose what they're ready to educate to. And EMSC and Dr. Harris from Northwell, we're gonna produce some education for the pediatric iGel.
quite true.
Is it just iGels or is it any supervisor?
It is a regionally approved superglottic.
So Air Q3.
The only iGel or the only superglottic that has been approved in this region is the iGel. And the only education available for the BLS iGel project right now remains iGel specific education. So if anybody wants to do something else and bring that to us here, we can do it. But remember, this is a BLS IGEL program.
And again, it's all with the trained and equipped. It's not mandatory.
Right.
How are we notifying the region of, changes in or additions if someone was in the, demonstration program and wants to add in pediatric or wants to begin doing supraglottic airways altogether?
It'd be like any, like RSI or any of the other things, if they want to request it.
Yeah.
Just request it.
Send us a note.
Request it. Right.
And advising that they're gonna follow the region, the state program and reporting that goes along with it.
What you said.
Just making sure it's clear.
I'll add it to the.
Okay. So, those were the major things to report. From CMAC, SEPSCO. Like, do you have anything else you want to do, anything from Stack at all?
I think the only thing I'd bring up from Stack is not to be too redundant to folks that were listening to this earlier. But reviewing tourniquet administration and application. That particularly for agencies who are going to be transporting a patient for an hour or more. Review any tourniquet application for appropriateness. They can be removed if they are not appropriately put on and not required for bleeding control. And education around how to remove tourniquets, when to remove tourniquets and how to do it safely will be forthcoming.
Carney, if you want to move on.
Back to you, Dr. Daly, for QI report.
So I'll actually defer to Beth and Axter just to review her notes really quickly for our QI overview. We had a great discussion about STEMI programs and then spent some time on years, but we'll just have Beth quickly review those notes.
So we covered, looking at two cases, regarding, STEMI cases that were either not properly identified or transported by BLS when a paramedic ran a 12 lead and should have been transporting that patient. We will be assisting, St. Peter's in reaching out to an agency with that. There was also a request from Memorial Hospital, that if their EMS is encountering any barriers to timely transfer of STEMI patients, to please make sure that they're notified of that so that they can work at removing barriers, because there have been some 30+ minute transfer times on STEMI patients and they would like to shorten that time. Please finish your PCRs and get them to the hospitals. Timely documentation of any patient, but especially the STEMIs is sometimes not happening. They're still looking for a PCR from a transfer from Nathan Littauer yesterday on a STEMI patient. If you receive a physician order through Pulsera, relayed through the nurse, giving you the Remo doc number, please take that order. If you're coming into St. Pete's and know which cardiology group that your established cardiac patient doctors with, please notify St. Peter's which practice they are a patient at. It will help them in getting the right doctors to them upon their arrival. And there's general consensus that the Pulsera EKG upload, modem transmission, and pictures are visible, readable, and added to the patient charts at the hospitals. Our numbers for sodium bicarb and cardiac arrest are trending down, which is good. We have discovered that excuse me, sorry, phones are ringing and I'm not sure if it's my office or what. That's good because in protocol, there are very limited applications of sodium bicarb during a cardiac arrest. It's no longer a automatic, hey, I think they're acidotic because of the arrest, let's give it to them. It's more of, there was pre-existing acidosis, such as an agitated patient, or a dialysis patient, that would be an appropriate use. We reviewed the tourniquet removal education and mentioned that the New York State Collaborative Protocol rollout is effective July 1st. There is a regional video on YouTube. And then quickly reviewed the CARES summary data report. I will be sending out to each agency, now that we've reviewed it, their CARES survival reports, and the REMO report and the national report. So if you are a CARES coordinator, be looking for those in your mailbox. And if you have not seen them, please reach out to me. That's it.
Thank you, Beth. That was a lot of work. And Tim, it doesn't seem that you have a report for us, so we'll go on to our agency updates and upgrades. For BLS and EPI, there were non-ALS upgrade, also non-BLS first responder upgrades. The new agency in West Fulton Fire. And for EPCRs, Tasawasa, and I do have a shirt that says that, Dr. Daly, on me. Fire Protection District, state image trend they're using, and the town of Post and Kill is now using EMS charts. For public access defibrillation, all pads were reviewed by the QI coordinator and in proper order. The list is before you. And now that brings us to new business and the 2025 protocol rollout, which is informational only.
I believe we already mentioned it.
And the pediatric eye gel, which was also presented to us earlier, also informational. And Dr. Hayashi, your LifeNet finger thoracostomy to present.
Yeah, so I think I talked about it a little bit at the previous meeting.
Mhm.
The action is for LifeNet neuromedical providers to do finger thoracostomy after 2 failed needle decompressions. There's a fair amount of data that suggests that it is not uncommon for needle decompressions not to actually make it into the pleural space. We've had several, I've had several cases over the last year where, you know, due to no fault of the providers, et cetera, but there were unrelieved tension pneumothoraces that I think had negative consequences for some of the patients that have come by LifeNet. And so at this point in time, we'd like to sort of approve a protocol that allows our paramedics to do finger thoracostomy to replace a 3rd attempt at decompression of the chest. They have pretty extensive training in both simulation, and there's a cadaver lab where they practice on a semi-annual basis. And obviously we're gonna have close oversight of this. There's a fair amount of data out there in other places that have done this to suggest that in the aeromedical setting, it is relatively safe and effective, and there have been relatively few complications from it. And we're talking about patients, generally speaking, who are the sickest of the sick, who it's difficult to get worse than where they're at. So I would ask if you guys have any questions, and if not, I'm requesting approval for LifeNet to be able to do that.
I'll certainly make the motion to approve LifeNet for this. I think the literature is pretty clear that in small groups of very well trained providers, this is safe. And I cannot say that I've seen the same on the ground. We have not seen the missed tension pneumothoraces leading to patient demise. Like to think that it would have been brought to our attention if one of them did occur. At least I hope so. I don't know who's on, if anybody's on from the trauma program. Dr. Edwards is on. It would be great to get some feedback from him. And certainly if Art's on, he remembers a case, he can certainly jump in, please. But I don't remember any similar cases. but I certainly support that. Motion made.
Is that a shortened version of the motion?
Approve LifeNet finger thoracoscopy.
I'll
Excellent.
second the motion.
Anyone seconding?
I will, it's Bruce.
All righty, Bruce, thank you. All those in favor?
I
I only see Bruce's up there, so you'll have to take my word for it. It looks good. Anyone opposed? Any abstentions? So moved. I don't know how to get the screen back on, but anything else, Dr. Hayashi, that you wanted to add? There you are.
Yeah, I think we had previously discussed LifeNet's version 10 of their patient care guidelines.
Mm-hmm.
There was some question as to whether we had to actually formally approve them or not. And I just wanted to make sure that we either had complete clarification on that and or had a formal approval. I'm happy to go through them all. I think most of the changes were relatively minor, going from PCG 9 to PCG 10.
Why
But
don't you take us through the changes really quickly so we can formalize that?
okay.
Sorry, Dr. Cordy, apologize for jumping in.
So, yeah, apologize for that. So there, the changes include, adding, leave albuterol as an alternative to albuterol. For a number of situations, including anaphylaxis, congestive, heart failure, if there's some equipoise about it. As well as, COPD, near drowning. There is, adding it also as well to hyperkalemia protocols as an alternative again to albuterol. There is addition of there was some clarification on the amounts of glucose to be given for neonatal resuscitation when the neonate is found to be hypoglycemic. There is addition of correction of hydroxycobalamin in the setting of burn patients with suspected cyanide toxicity, and then transexamic acid addition to the pediatric guidelines for hemorrhagic shock and bleeding. Additions allowing vasopressin to be used as a vasopressor in GI bleeding.
So Warren, one of the things that I'm fascinated by is, so you changed your dose of dextrose that you're gonna give for pediatric hypoglycemia. What did you change it from? What did you change it
And
to?
let me read.
Sorry.
That's okay. Obtain a blood glucose level if there are signs and symptoms of hypoglycemia or glucose that is less than 40 milligrams. Dextrose 10%, 0.2 grams per kilogram IV, followed by a maintenance infusion of D10, 80 milliliters per kilogram per day. Via the pump, reassess glucose every 30 minutes. If hypoglycemia persists, administer a bolus of D10, 0.2 grams per kilogram, and contact medical control or the accepting physician for further guidance. I'll be quite honest, I'm not sure what it was changed from.
Well, it's interesting because if I look at our protocol for our field paramedics,
Yep.
Our dose is 5 milliliters per kilo of 10%, right? It's 0.5 instead of 0.2.
So
we're giving a little bit more. Titrating,
I think it's more titrate closer.
titrating a drug
Titration
to a fact that getting somebody without overshooting is probably the goal. That's an interesting one to change. Okay.
Noted. Sorry. hypertonic saline, 250 milliliters for, patients with, traumatic brain injury with a GCS of less than 8. And, making vasopressin as an optional addition, for, septic shock that's refractory to that. And those are essentially, the changes. There's a whole list of it. I can send it around if you prefer to do that. Or if you want them to defer vote, but, however you guys want to handle it. I'm requesting approval, I guess.
And I guess it's an interesting situation, you know, that these are patient care guidelines that are being used quite effectively. The changes are relatively minor. I think that, titrating dextrose appropriately in small doses makes a ton of sense. I'm certainly happy to make that motion.
Anybody to second, or do we just need to support their protocol as opposed to approve it?
I'll second it.
Anybody have anything else to add to this? Then all those in favor? I can't
Just-
say anything again except for Sam.
I, as a note, anybody who's voting needs to have their camera on by our policy. If they're online.
We can do a roll call vote.
It is roll call.
No, but if they're not gonna turn the cameras on.
They still have to have their camera. That's what we wrote in our policy for
Oh. Well, that
remote
could,
stuff.
that could be a problem, because there's not a whole lot of people with cameras on.
Well, it's only the dots that get the vote anyway, so they're the only voting members.
Right.
So
Then I'm not sure, do we have a quorum?
Yes, you do. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, I believe.
See that, Chris?
I have a procedural question, folks. So if a physician member is only available by phone just because of logistics and they can't be on a device which allows them video, then that would nullify any chance of them having a vote based on what you're saying, Mike.
Exactly, Sam.
Is that something we should address? Not now, but something we should address, because it seems we kind of know each other, and if there's a physician member that is available by phone but not available by video, and we want them to vote one way or the other on a particular issue to be able to count it, I don't know if that's something procedurally we should look at again.
The problem, Sam, is if we spend a whole lot of time on this, I suspect that we will find that our policy for blended meetings, will not fly, because it does not allow for open meetings, the full clarity of open meetings law. The open meetings rules require us to post the locations and have those locations available to the public. With people on video, that's how we sort of got through it as we developed our own policy here. It would be challenging to make it any more restrictive. If you're on the phone and you just have a dial and a wire going to the wall, so be it. But otherwise, almost all of us, when we're on our phone, have the ability to turn a camera on and off if we are on a Zoom. So we should.
So problem at the moment is I see 3 docs who have video on besides ourselves here.
So I have
Yes, we've got
Bosco,
7.
Forty, Chris Apuli, Daly, Gutsa, Do I now pass it? Bush cow,
The only voting docs that I see right now on the online are Bosco, Crystal Foley, and Ushdale.
let's look at page 2.
And actually, I believe.
Sam is enjoying his soda. At least I think it's a soda, might be a beer.
It's a soda.
Are you up at the lake house thing?
Bruce is also enjoying his soda.
Unfortunately, no.
Okay. We're all enjoying cookies. Yeah, so we have a quorum at 7, so.
Okay, we're good.
Okay.
All right, so those who have voted yay? Anyone for nay or abstentions? So moved. Congratulations, Dr. Hayashi. Anything else that you wanted to add, Dr. Hayashi? For LifeNet?
Think so. Well, I'll just say one other thing is sort of a notification thing. LifeNet continues to, we're trying to utilize Pulsera more and more. For just, awareness in the area. That is most successful when they are on the ground. It is very difficult for them to do Pulsera communication in the air. So if you can encourage your ground crews to start the Pulsera thread and then hand it off to the LifeNet crew, it is, extraordinarily helpful. And in addition, there's a whole chain connecting people who saw the person originally through to the hospital, so we can get more information rather than the telephone game that usually occurs. That's about all I have.
Okay, thank you so much. It's always so much fun to figure out what the ground crew did when LifeNet gets there.
Yeah.
Of course, they're never the original ones anyway. Are there any items from the floor before we consider adjourning before our summer break?
I think I've said this to pretty much the same audience, but I see a few new faces. On Sunday, June 29th, the National Rolling EMS Memorial will be at Copake EMS to honor Stephen Walsh at 12:30, and Peter Doty has invited everyone to please have a presence there to honor Stephen.
Yes.
Thank you so much. And there's a comment also in the chat session for that as well, for the email. So then, without further ado, our next meeting will be September 3rd. And for all those in favor of adjourning this meeting until September,
So moved.
I know we don't need a roll call for that one. And happy summer and be safe, everyone. Thank you so much.
Take care, everybody.
Life. Okay.